Everyone, this is Mary Alice Hudson. I thoroughly enjoyed all of your videos and learning about these learning methods. Although there are similarities and differences among the 6 methods presented, all of the methods have the same goal: to make education more student-centered, more experiential, more interesting, more meaningful, and more relevant. Not every method would work in every course, but every course could utilize at least one of these methods. It might not be possible to make a calculus course experiential, but active or collaborative learning could be utilized, making the course more engaging and student-centered. On the other hand, an early childhood development course could utilize any of these methods, from field experiences with young children, connecting learning to students' personal knowledge of and experiences with young children, and/or creating active or collaborative learning experiences in class. These methods feel like a toolbox that could be drawn upon based on the type of course being taught, the resources available, and the needs of the students. So, on to individual differences and similarities. Experiential learning and applied learning are similar as both focus on experiences beyond the classroom. While both are used for teaching, in applied learning, it is important for students to reflect on the intersection of their out-of-class experiences and their coursework. So a pre-service teacher doing an internship in a school would reflect on what they see happening in a real classroom and what they are learning in their university coursework, and try to integrate the two, bringing together knowledge and practice. Experiential learning also involves reflecting on an experience, but the focus is on the experience itself and personal change brought about by the experience. While both applied and integrative learning work to connect students in and out of class experiences, integrative learning doesn't provide those experiences. Rather, it is focused on connecting learning to students' prior experiences, focusing on the intersection of new information and existing knowledge and experiences. Levy described integrative learning as holistic, as it is designed to connect learning to learners, encouraging students to integrate course material into their lives. Integrative learning and learning reconsidered overlap in that the focus is on the whole student. I had never heard of learning reconsidered, but found its focus on connecting all of a campus's resources to preparing the whole student to be very appealing. This was the perfect set of articles for Tara, who clearly is already using this practice in her work. Active learning and cooperative learning are similar in that in both methods students work together to learn. In cooperative learning, students work together in small groups to complete a shared goal. Active learning encompasses cooperative learning as well as collaborative learning and problem-based learning, as it is a more broadly defined method that involves students working together to complete activities and then reflecting on their work. I found all of these methods to be appealing, and I see the advantages and opportunities each present for students. Currently, in my elementary school setting, active and cooperative learning most closely relate to my teaching approach. I work hard to keep my students active and engaged. Classes come to me for 45 minutes. We typically begin with a whole group activity and then split up into small groups to work in centers. During this time, I use both informal and formal cooperative grouping. I use turn and talk as a form of informal cooperative learning. If I mention dogs, everybody has a story to share, so I use turn and talk to give each student voice and an audience. Turn and talk is quick, a minute or two. You turn to your neighbor and share your experience and listen to theirs. Sometimes turn and talk is related to a broad subject, such as dogs, and sometimes it's related to a specific question, such as share what you know about odd and even numbers. In both cases, it helps students make connections between what they are learning, what they already know, and their lives. I also use formal cooperative grouping. When we go to centers, groups of students often have shared goals, which they work to complete cooperatively. As Jonna mentioned, I use this strategy to teach both academic and social skills. Cooperative learning helps students learn to trust each other and work together toward a shared goal. During this time, I also utilize collaborative learning and problem-based learning. I select my strategies based on the needs and abilities of the learners. As Bob mentioned, problem-based learning requires self-direction. I work to scaffold student learning experiences so that students develop the skills, knowledge, attitude, and experience to work more independently. I'm a firm believer in learning by doing. Active learning is well aligned with this belief. Thank you all for listening.